Hey folks, welcome back to the Edupedia world, and I am Abhinay Gupta. And today again we'll continue with the Professional Ethics by the Chartered Accountant Act 1949. And in today's lecture we are basically gonna cover only the case studies which are based on the clause number 6 that we have been doing so far in the lectures, right? So all those of you who are regular with the lecture may have already completed the entire clause number 6 of the part 1 of the first schedule, right? So if you have done that, we are on the same page, and the rest who have not been through the entire clause 6, please go view those classes and then come back to this, right? So basically in today's class we'll be covering all the case studies that are based on the clause number 6, right? And when you get your questions in the examinations, most of them are based on these case studies. Okay? Because there's no point of discussion after that. Whatever the court has decided is actually your final answer. Right? And this is not a rocket science, and we are not going to discuss as to what happened, what not happened, how could it be, right? But we are basically gonna see that when we are talking about soliciting, right, what are the incidences where the court has gone forward to take a decision that yes, this act would be deemed to be solicitation of client, and hence the chartered accountant would be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. Okay with it? So it's just one tab over here. We have a lot of line items that I have given over there, right? But these line items are those topics that the court has already taken decision on, right? So the name of the case, the name of the person involved is not very important for you. All that you require, because you don't need to refer to the case in your examination in this section of your subject actually, right? So let us forget about what the case was, although while going with each of these topics I will narrate to you whose case it is or what case it was, right? But then I'll just go ahead to give you a brief of the case and give you the decision so that you are clear in your mind as to what is yes and what is no, right? Because once you have gone through this, you will be very clear in your examination, at least to the answer, and then you can frame it accordingly, finding out points from the clause that we have already discussed. Okay? And so I hope that this little effort of mine is gonna be of a great help to you in your examination. Instead of being confused, basically what happens is you do not remember the small nitty-gritties of the clause, and that is where the institute tests you and you get confused. But if you have already gone through the cases and the answers that it gives, right, it will become very, very simple for you to at least land to a conclusion. Framing an answer and writing about the clause is a secondary thing after that. Okay? So the first case that we are going to refer to is about the letter of authority. Now, what is a letter of authority? What happened in this case, basically, there was a firm of chartered accountants, right? What did that firm do is that firm issued a letter of authority in favor of two other chartered accountants, right? They have given them that, okay, this is a letter of authority and we are giving them an authority to work on our behalf. That is a letter of authority. Now what happened is those two chartered accountants who were not actually a part of this firm went around to issue circulars. And you know, issuing circular is considered to be a part of soliciting clients. They did it. Now the point is over here of discussion is not whether or not they are guilty. It is very clear, if they have issued circular to solicit clients, they are guilty. But the point is, who will be deemed to be guilty? Those two chartered accountants only, or those two chartered accountants and the firm, or the firm only? There are three options available with you. Like, how do you conclude the answer? So you go on to say that although the firm had given them a letter of authority, but the firm was not involved in issuing those circulars, and these are two independent chartered accountants. So for the task that the firm has allocated them, the firm is responsible, but for the other things that they do, the firm will not remain responsible, right? because the firm has only issued that letter of authority for that specific task that they undertake. The firm has not taken the responsibility of these two auditors or these two chartered accountants. Right? So this was a case of M.R. Walke. Right? Next, are you clear with that? I hope all of you are. If anybody has a query, please post it down in your comment box, right? Next, sending printed circular. Now, what do you mean by circular? Circular can be anything, right? You have something printed on that and you are giving it out to the various people. Now, in this case, basically what happened, this is a case of BS and Bhushan, right? So, in this case, what happened is the chartered accountant got some circulars printed and rotated it out to the strangers in the market. And he said like, okay, I'm not soliciting the people I know, I'm not soliciting my relatives, my friends or any other people in the profession or anything. I've just given it out to strangers in the market. If somebody turns up, what's the problem? They don't know me, I'm not bringing disrepute to myself or anything. But my dear friend, by doing this, you're bringing disrepute to the profession. Right? You are hampering the credibility of the profession, and hence, even if it is to the strangers, you are deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. Now the point is, you all know that issuing circular is not correct. That is a part of soliciting client and we do not allow that. But now again, these small little twists can appear in the examination, and if you are not clear, you may be confused. It says circulars only to strangers, and then where our mind basically goes is, was there a point that we have missed? Did it anywhere talk about strangers? And because even I was a student and you all are also student, nobody goes through the text 100%. And that is your lack of confidence that hits you. That maybe there's something about this that I have missed. And if the question is talking specifically about circular to strangers, I think this is correct, this is allowed. There has to be some exceptions. I think this is allowed. That is how our mind starts working. So you have to be very clear. Circular is banned means banned to whomever you give. It's not ban, I mean, if it's deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct, it will always be considered, it will always be deemed so. Right? Next is the case of roving inquiries to the government. Now you know what is roving inquiries, right? That you do not know, for example, that whether this government department or whether this registrar or anybody, right, they have a panel or not. You don't know about anything. What do? You write a letter to them, hey, if you have a panel, right, I would like to get myself registered over there. That is a roving inquiry. You are trying to solicit clients. That will not be allowed, even though you are giving it to the registrar or any government department, government agency, any such thing. If you are doing it to get your name impaneled into the list for allotment of audit work, you will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct for soliciting client under clause 6, part 1 of the first schedule. Clear with it? Next, inquiries to complain. So when we talk about inquiries to complain, means what happened actually in that case is a chartered accountant got his name enrolled in the panel, right? Because there was a cooperative society who already had a panel existing. So this chartered accountant, he got himself registered in that panel, but did not receive any work. So what did he do? He wrote a letter to them complaining about it. That although I am there in the panel, you did not allot me this work, you did not allot me that work, please do the needful, look into the matter, get me allotted some work of this, that, and all those kind of things. He wrote it over there. Now what do you think it is? He is trying to force upon to get the client? Is that what a chartered accountant is supposed to do? Definitely not. Right? So in that case, do you think there is any possibility that he would escape? No. So he is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. And this was the case of West Bengal, right? It was D.N. Das Gupta, who was the chief auditor of a cooperative society of West Bengal, right? And this case was versus B.B. Mukherjee, who was an auditor who did this. So it was a case between the chief auditor of that society versus the auditor who had written the letter for her empanelment, right? Next, approaching principal of school through third party. So in this case, basically what happened is there was a chartered accountant, say Mr. A, right? He asked his friend to approach the principal of a secondary school because his friend knew the principal. And what did he ask his friend to do? He asked his friend to ask the principal to appoint him as an auditor instead of the auditor who is already appointed for the school. Right? So in this case, what do you think? Is this practice correct? The answer is no. This is a way of soliciting client. Now, on an add-on, what this person, this chartered accountant A, did is that he wrote a letter to the existing auditor, who is actually known as the previous auditor now in this case, and says that the school has given me an offer to be an auditor for the school. So do you have any objection on me being the chartered accountant? But actually the fact was the school has not yet given any such offer to him. Although his friend has approached the school did not come ahead with any conclusion on it. Right? So in this case, Mr. A was deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. But he was deemed to be guilty only for the first point, where he had asked his friend to help him secure that client. For the second position, where he wrote a letter to the existing chartered accountant, right? In that case, he was not deemed to be guilty. Why? Because he did not approach the prospective client. He approached a person of the similar standing from his own profession. And there's only exception over here. If you want client, you can go on to any other chartered accountant. And he did it. So that is allowed. So for the second point, he is not deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. But for the first point, he is. Right? So you have to see the entire case independently. Okay? Next, circular for change in address to non-professional relations. Now what happened is, for example, if I'm a chartered accountant, I have a firm, my clients, my relatives, they know that yeah, this is the firm, right? Now I'm changing my address. I'm shifting 25 kilometers away from this place, for example. Now what am I supposed to do? People who know my office, who have been visiting my office, I should let them know that yes, this has happened. But what did I do? I let everybody know that this has happened. People whom I know, people whom I don't know, people who are in my professional relation, people who are not in my professional relation, everybody. Like I moved out and whosoever I came across, I gave him information that yeah, I'm shifting my registered office. And he's like, who are you? Or what do I do if you're shifting a registered office? No, actually I'm a chartered accountant, right? So if I'm shifting my regular office, so this is my new address. If you have any work for CA, please come back to me. Isn't this the kind of information he's trying to convey? Yes. So he was deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. That as a necessity, you should have let the people who are in professional relationship to you know about this event. But not to everybody who is not professionally related to you. What do they have to do with your relocation? They have got to do nothing about it. So what is their intention? To solicit client. Right? Now, next case is writing a letter of thanks to the shareholder. So once a chartered accountant he got appointed or whatever be the case, he randomly wrote a letter to all the shareholders and said, yeah, thanks for appointing me to this company and I'm very obliged. And what is he intending to do? He is intending to get over the mind of all the shareholders that yeah, listen, if you're not aware, it's me, I'm the chartered accountant for your company. So if you are looking for a CA for any other help, I'll be the correct person. He's actually trying to get in touch with those shareholders and trying to solicit clients. And he's deemed to be guilty for that. Right? Because this has been a case between KK Mehta and MK Kaul in 1975. Right? Now, advertisement to congratulate on opening ceremony. Now, one chartered accountant, he came up with a new firm. So what basically happened over here is that this chartered accountant rolled out an advertisement in the newspaper with his photograph congratulating him for the opening ceremony of his new office. Now what happened? When you see a newspaper advertisement, right, that yes, this is a chartered accountant, okay, this is his photograph, his name, his firm's name, and we are congratulating him for the inauguration of his new office at so and so place and maybe that is a very good place, and you know, hey, this chartered accountant looks a little hefty person. I think he'll be able to sort out my things. You come across a chartered accountant that way, right? People who are looking for CAs, they'll go to him. So this is a way of soliciting client. Because you remember when we talked about advertisement, it is only about writing that information. That yes, this is the chartered accountant, this is the firm's old address was this, the firm's new address is this. That's okay. Nothing more than that. But here, okay, congratulations for the opening ceremony, and these are actually methods of soliciting client. And hence, he is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. Because in this case, the court held that the advertisement was intended to make it noticeable to the public. Right? So in that case, keeping that in mind, this was deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. And this was a case of Mr. G.P. Agarwal. The next, that is advertisement to offer service. So what did someone do? Gave out an advertisement in the newspaper. This is the chartered accountancy firm. I am the chartered accountant of this firm, and we are offering the following mentioned services. And he mentioned all the services over there. Right? That was Anil Garg, Anil K. Garg, Anil Kumar Garg. He did that, and he was deemed to be guilty under the same clause. Right? Next is the letter to highlight his expertise. So this is a weird case, you know. There was one chartered accountant. His name was Shashindra S. Ustwal, whose case is referred in the module. So what happened is that man, he wrote a letter to the company. With that, he mentioned that yeah, I'm specialized in sales tax, this. He wrote a normal standard letter, and then wrote that yeah, in sales tax some new updates are there. These things have to be tackled this way and stuff. He gave some detail and some examples to prove how intelligent he is. And then at the end he writes, if my information was useful to you, please send me a draft of rupees 200. And that kind of letter he rotated it out to all the members or all the companies over there, so that whosoever likes it will send him a draft. Now, is this being a chartered accountant? Are we facing that bad stage in our career that we have to solicit for this thing? Yeah, if you're liking my information, free of fund, you give the information. If you like it, please. It's like raising fund for charity, man. Right? So we are not supposed to do this. So that man was also deemed to be guilty of misconduct. Right? Next case is a case of personal visit to the client. So this can be done by a lot of people, right? But yeah, over here there was one case which was mentioned, that was J.S. Bharti versus M.L. Agarwal. So over here the person specifically visited the client and started soliciting the client. That yeah, we'll offer you this service at this rate, and do you want to get it audited from us? Because that client may already have a previous auditor, and he's going and giving him a better deal than his previous auditor. That is not becoming of a chartered accountant. So he was deemed to be guilty. And the last one is a letter from Member of Parliament for empanelment. So what happened is, a chartered accountant, he knew that yeah, this society or this registrar or government department or whatever it is, or a bank actually. In the case which is referred over there, it was a bank. And the CA was Naresh C. Agarwal. So what he did is, he sent a letter to the bank that okay, I know you have a panel, please get my name registered in the panel. And that is okay. Right? But on top of that, he gave a topper. What did he do is, he had a connection with a member of parliament, and from that member of parliament he deviated a letter to that bank that this CA has sent you an empanelment request, please put him into your panel list, into your panel list, so that when you are looking for any services, he is the person providing services in this category, allot him for that. So okay, when you have given a request, let them do it. Why do you need to involve a member of parliament and make it really difficult for the bank in that situation? That is not becoming of a CA, and hence he was deemed to be guilty. Right? So these are basically some case studies that we had to see, because now you saw here they are specific cases. Like in the last one also, what did he do? He sent a letter for empanelment. That was not a roving inquiry. He knows that yeah, they maintain a panel, but the problem was he got a topper done by the member of parliament, and hence he was deemed to be guilty. So why do we need to do something extra, man? Come on. Right? This is a very reputed designation of being a chartered accountant. Respect it. If you don't respect it, no one will respect it. Right? So you people are going to be the future chartered accountants of the country. Just take that pride in being it. Don't go on soliciting clients and spoiling the name or bringing disrepute to the profession at all in general. Right? So that will be all for the day. And now with this, after discussing all the case studies, we finally conclude this clause, the clause number 6. Right? And in the next lecture, we'll skip on, we'll move on to the next clause, which is clause number 7. Even that is a little lengthy clause, but not as lengthy as clause number 6. Right? So we'll see that clause from next lecture onwards. So until then, this is Abhinay Gupta signing off. Thank you and bye-bye.